Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Live from America. Let me just make sure I do something here real quick. Let's shut that down. Let's shut down that great music that we had going there. Welcome to Live from America, guys. It is, oh man, it's Monday, March 15th already, year of our Lord 2021. I could not be more happy to be with you than on a Monday morning because we go from Friday evening all the way until Monday morning without being able to have conversation, without bringing you news. But you know, those weekends are very, very important, guys. They really are very important. It's extremely important to be around your families. It's extremely important to center yourself, find your energy, draw your energy from God, and set that foundation for yourself from God for the next week. You have to have those times because just like on a plane, you got to give yourself air before you give somebody else air. You know what I mean? You got to make sure your house is in order before you make sure that you do other things. So that's what I do on the weekends. That's why you don't see from me or hear from me very much. But I will say, Will Johnson from Unite America First did a phenomenal job on Friday. Yes, his personality is a little different than mine. Yes, his delivery is a little different than mine. But that's exactly what I want here on Live from America. I want to start finding out how these temporary fill-in hosts will do here on Live from America with the Live from America audience. And then we move into, future roles after that. So I'd like to give shout outs. Kara Albo from Nebraska. Daryl Watts. Stephen Bryant. Good to see you. Kat Tia from Pennsylvania. Thank you very much for joining in today. Lori Ledoux. Hello. Super Steve from Pennsylvania. How are you? Christy Goins from Alabama. We're going to scroll down here. We got Arthur Seller is in the building. How you doing, Arthur? Good to see you. Earl Messier, Amanda Wiley, good to see you. Thank you very much. Joan Fowler from Michigan. Sabrina Waden says good morning. Well, good morning to you, Sabrina. That's also my wife's name. So Amanda Collins says the new buckets are amazing. Thank you. I want to give a big shout out to the person who made those here in a minute. Christy McGovern says good morning, everyone. Good morning, Christy. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate that. Gina Harris from the state of Texas where everything is bigger. Ann Brink says good morning. It's spring. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. We've had a long, cold, dark, rough winter, haven't we? Kimmy Fenner says, shout out from Michigan. Allison Gelderman says, good to see you. Well, it's good to see you too, hon. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Angie Gamboa. And let's do a couple more here. Kim Romansky from Connecticut, a neighbor of mine to the south. Suzanne Vlack from Astoria, Oregon says, love you, Jeremy. Well, I love you too, Suzanne. Thank you so much for joining in. And let's give one more here to Sherry McDonald says he was great. I'm assuming you are talking about my good friend, Will Johnson. Again, he's a little different than I am, and he talks about things that are more, personal and definitely our social values, more than he does the news like I do. But you know what? It was great to see him. It was great to have him in. And I'm not going to lie, even though I'm supposed to be spending time with my family, I was checking in to see how he was doing, as you probably seen in the comments. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. Somebody said 11 inches of snow in Nebraska. That's no good. And Robert says, yo, Jeremy, 51st state of South Jersey. Suzanne from Maine. She's got a maniac in the house. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we have 1,297 people watching. Please reach down, click the like button. If you're watching on your phone, just click out of the live chat real quick, hit the thumbs up, and then hit the live chat, and you're back in. It takes 2 seconds. It takes a little bit longer to share the video, but if you could do that, I would appreciate that as well. And I do want to give some special shout outs. Actually, special thank yous to people who have sent me things over the weekend. I'd like to give a shout out to Kim Valnez, who also painted that beautiful, wonderful painting back there with the boots and the wings. She also did the swamp donkey buckets and the rhino buckets for me to throw my dum-dums in. And the greatest part about this, guys, is how it sounds when you throw them in. That's going to be the greatest part. You know what I mean? I'd like to give a shout out to Jeff and Dawn Rathai. I don't know if I'm saying that. Could be Rathai. They sent me this book, which he is actually the author of, ladies and gentlemen. It's Everyday God. So thank you very much for sending me that, and I can't wait to read that. I'd like to thank Gill Automotive for sending me some koozies and a pen. So great gift from Gill Automotive. Thank you so much for sending me that. I'd like to give a thanks to Randall and Pamela for such a large donation through the mail. They sent a check, great large donation. It will really help the show. And the greatest thing about your guys' donations, whether you do them online or whether you send them, is you get to see the fruits of your labor. If it's one thing that I do is I put your monthly donations or your one-time donations to amazing use, and it's always a pleasure to be able to show you what it brings. I'd also like to give a shout out to Elizabeth Tramontano for the donation and the letter, and Tatiana Sled for the letter and the donation as well. And I want to ask for special prayers. I don't know his last name because it wasn't given to me, but there's a farmer by the name of Travis out there who had a farming accident this weekend and lost both of his legs. What a sad story. What a horrific thing to have happen. But Travis, just know that we are praying for you here on Live from America. We love you. We hope you get better. There's really not much else we can say except for be with the Lord, and may Jesus guide you and guide your family in what to do, okay? The video is showing upside down on sharing, Amanda says. I think that's just the thumbnail. I will make sure I fix that after the show, and we'll get that fixed. Kelly Hawkins says, send where? Well, just private message me on Telegram or email me, and hopefully when I catch up on emails, which I'm always behind, I will let you know. But definitely prayers for Travis and his family, okay? All right, folks, we're going to get to the one portion of the show where we really give our love and our honor to God. We really give our attention and our worship to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Because without God, without his Son who sacrificed his life for us, none of us would be here, and none of us would have good news to tell. I'd like to give a shout out for a happy birthday to Santa Jean as well. Happy birthday, and we hope you have a good birthday. So this morning's verse, ladies and gentlemen, is going to come from Proverbs 28:14. And the reason that I picked this verse today was because something that happened to me personally over the weekend. You know, even with my journey to Jesus, and I'm sure with yours, you sin, you kind of veer off the road a little bit. But the thing about being a Christian is you catch yourself. You catch yourself sinning. You catch yourself veering off the road. You catch yourself doing something that Jesus would not do. Okay? Donna Dottier says, shout out, Jeremy. There you go, Donna. So the verse of the day is Proverbs 28:14, excuse me. And it says, blessed are those who fear to do wrong, but the stubborn are headed for serious trouble. And if it's one thing that I've had a hard time letting go of in my journey with Jesus, is stubbornness. And I've let go of a lot of it, but there's still some things that I seem to want control over, or I'm stubborn about. And I caught myself doing this last night. And so I wanted to read this for you today. I wrote, this is something that all of us can relate to. How many things in your life are you stubborn about? Think about it. Think about the things in your life that you're stubborn about, okay? And think about those while I read this. How many times have you refused to give up your control over something? Now, not all of us are like that, but I know that it's the number one thing that I had to let go in my journey with Jesus. Just this weekend, I was stubborn about something, specifically last night, and it caused the little issue to grow into a problem. It's like cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Being stubborn and prideful is like cancer. It will fester if you let it. And it's up to you to get ahead of it. Put out that fire in your stomach and let it all go. 9.9 times out of 10, it isn't even worth it to begin with. It isn't even worth it to begin with. You know what I mean? So, as you start your day today, just remember to let go of your control over something that will lead you to be stubborn and prideful. There are many ways to accomplish a goal, and it doesn't always have to be your way. Remember, there are right ways, there are wrong ways, but there's only one Yahweh. And we say that every day on the show, guys. We say that every day on the show, and because it has meaning. It has meaning. And I would like to apologize to my wife, who will eventually watch this, I'm sure, and tell you that I'm sorry for being stubborn, and I'm sorry for letting that grow into a problem. And I hope that you will forgive me, as I know God has already forgiven me. You know what I mean? We got about 2,000 people watching, guys. Can we please bump that up and get those shares out? I know the video looks upside down when you share it, but that's just the thumbnail, and I'll fix that after the show. Okay, guys, we got a lot to go over. I wasn't here Friday evening. I was being covered for by Will Johnson, so we got a lot to talk about. The first and foremost section of the day. Wait a minute. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now we can get started. First and foremost section, ladies and gentlemen, purging the military and using them to demonize Trump supporters. This is what the Biden presidency has tried to do since the day that they have occupied illegally our White House. They are literally purging the military to demand loyalty. Where do you see that, ladies and gentlemen? You don't usually see that in America. I've never seen that in America. It kind of happened under Obama a little bit, but not nearly as bad as it's happening right now. The left has full control over Biden. The left and the globalists and these dirtbag progressives have a massive control over President Biden right now, and they are purging the one organization, I guess you can call them an organization, but group, I guess you could call them as well, branches of the government, which is our military. They are literally making it so that the one group that can remove them, besides us doing it ourselves, is the military. So they're purging them. They're purging them out of the ranks if they're Trump supporters, and they're demanding loyalty. And on top of that, guys, they are militarizing the FBI just like they did under Obama to arrest patriots who happened to be in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Just over the weekend, they arrested a former Army sergeant who was in the Capitol on January 6th, but did not even go in. They arrested him over the weekend, and they froze the bank accounts of him and his wife. They froze the entire family's bank accounts so that they could not have any money, so that they didn't have any way to pay their bills. They arrested this man. They showed up in this peaceful, beautiful town with army trucks, with armored trucks, with FBI agents, just like they did to Roger Stone after they leaked it to CNN to make sure CNN was going to be there to capture it so they could show further demonizing of Trump supporters, so they could show you that they're real terrorists, ladies and gentlemen. They're real bad people, while they were exercising their right as an American citizen to protest. He didn't even go in the Capitol building, and they still arrested him and froze his bank accounts. That means anybody, including myself, who was in D.C. on January 6th, but just happened to be a Trump supporter, even if you weren't involved in the breach, like I wasn't, is susceptible to being arrested under Corn Pop's military and his FBI. Isn't this sickening, guys? This is Hitler tactics. This is the most disgusting thing on the planet that I've ever seen. And here's the worst part about it, is if you try to talk to a person who voted for Biden and say, what about this? What about gas prices? What about our energy independence? What about people being arrested just for protesting? What about, you can name 1,000 things. You know what they say? They'll come right out and tell you, I don't care. I don't care how far we go down, as long as Orange Man isn't tweeting at 2 a.m. That's the problem with our country, ladies and gentlemen. That's the problem with our country. Wendy Walker says, did you get the package that I sent? I actually did. It's sitting right over there. I haven't opened it yet, but I'm going to open it afterwards, and I'm going to, I was going to thank you on tonight's show. But yes, I got it, Wendy. Thank you so much. But it can't be allowed. You're right. It can't be allowed. And sooner or later, folks, sooner or later, we as a people are going to have to stand up. Courage is contagious. We are going to have to be courageous and not only speak, but put action behind words. Not action as in hurting somebody, action as in showing up, putting up and showing up. Okay? That's what we're going to have to do as a collective whole. And they're pushing, I think, you know what, it's so ridiculous because it looks like the left just wants civil war. They want one of two things. They want uniformity or civil war, and they won't be happy until one of those two things happen. Look at the way they're doing things. It's completely disgusting, and the military ought to be ashamed of themselves. Not the military as in the soldiers who you might be or who you might be married to or be the brother of or be the sister of. I'm talking about the Pentagon and the top military brass. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They disgust me at the highest level right now, and they really need to get their head out of there. You know what? And start protecting the civil liberties and the rights and the Constitution and the people of this country that they swore to protect. And I'm saying this very stern because it's just the beginning of things to come if they don't get involved and do something quick. It's their job to do something, and this country isn't going to be a country anymore unless they do something. And that includes at the border, and that includes with our civil liberties, and that includes holding people accountable who do illegal things. I'm talking real illegal things. Okay? I don't really know what else to say about it right now, but that's where I'm going to leave that for right now. Okay? All right, moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Liz Wheeler. You might know Liz Wheeler from her days with OAN. I think she's still with OAN, but she said something over the weekend that really kind of fit right with this right here. And it was so nice to hear her say this. And I had to repeat it today. So this is from Liz Wheeler of OAN, and she said this: if you allow politicians to steal your freedoms during an emergency, like a pandemic, if you allow politicians to steal your freedoms during an emergency, then those same politicians will create emergencies to steal your freedoms. Make sense? Think about this. Climate change is such an emergency. Climate change is so real that you're going to die in 12 years. We need to take more of your freedoms. Racism is an emergency. This is an emergency problem. We need to start taking away your freedoms and your money and giving it to those who have been oppressed. Think about it. Think about anything that they could create that they say is an emergency. So, if you allow politicians to take your freedoms during an emergency, then the politicians will create emergencies to take away your freedoms. Liz Wheeler of OAN, you get the first Smarty Award of the day for saying the thing that makes the most sense that I've seen in the last 2 weeks. Liz Wheeler, Smarty Award goes to you, but it doesn't go in the bucket because I don't have a Smarty bucket. But I bet Kim will end up sending me one. Smarty Award for you, Liz Wheeler, for saying such an amazing thing. Oh, she's gone independent. I thought so because I haven't seen her on OAN. So she's formerly of OAN. Thank you, Donna, for letting me know that. What a wonderful woman she is, huh? What a strong, wonderful woman she is. Okay, moving on. Meanwhile, moving from a smarty to a dummy, Andrew Cuomo is still the governor. He's still the governor of New York, even though the military and the FBI is demonizing Trump supporters for exercising their First Amendment rights, for exercising protest rights, for letting their voice be heard, and Andrew Cuomo he's still the governor though. He can be responsible for the death of 15,000 people and more than likely the sexual assault of 7 people at least that we know of, but yet he's still the governor of New York, which houses our biggest city. Still the governor. Says he won't resign. Even though the woke left is all the way up to the White House now, at least all the way up to Kamala Harris. Resident Corn Pop, he won't call for his resignation, but Kalema Harris, Miss 2%, she called for it. Now, I think it's really funny that Resident Biden is not calling for his resignation. But, you know, birds of a feather flock together. Pedophiles and sexual assault people, they flock together. So, Andrew Cuomo says he still won't resign, even though his entire party, ladies and gentlemen, is asking him, demanding that he resign. So, Andrew Cuomo, it's going in the swamp donkey bucket. You get the first Dum Dum Award of the day. You ready for the sound? Let's hope I make it. It's kind of far away from me. Here we go. You get the first Dum Dum Award of the day because you truly are a dum-dum. Thank you, Judy Bailey. She says, I ordered an Armor of God coffee cup and shirt for my daughter. Jeremy, we can't wait to get them. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I hope you like them. Remember, if you want to keep the images, pure and colorful, wash them inside out and hang dry them rather than use the dryer. It always helps. So yeah, birds of a feather flock together, or I should say, sexual assault, sexual tyrants, we'll call them, flock together, because he won't even call for Andrew Cuomo's resignation. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, Facebook is doubling down. Facebook is spending more money to hire more fact checkers. That means more people from Lead Stories, more people from the Associated Press, more people from USA Today, or I like to call them USA Yesterday, and more people from PolitiFake, PolitiFact. They're hiring not only more people in those organizations, but they're hiring more organizations to fact check CDC posts, memes, videos, anything that you say about the CDC, anything you say about the China virus, or anything you say about any kind of vaccine will be fact checked, and you will be suspended and removed quick from Facebook starting today. So you better beware, folks. You better beware. This is that whole self-censorship we talked about last week. This is the culture. This is how they socially engineer you to be scared about saying something, even if it's your opinion. Even if you put "in my opinion" on the post, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to fact check you. If you have anything negative to say about the vaccine, the China virus, or anything that the CDC puts out, Facebook will get rid of it. They come right out and said it, ladies and gentlemen. So why? Why, you might ask? Well, the same reason they did during the election. They don't want the people of this world to know about the bad things of the vaccine. They don't want the people of this world to know about the bad things surrounding the election. They just want them to live in this fairy tale unicorn utopia, woke-topia we'll call it. They want everybody to live in woke-topia, where you're just on the left and you're completely oblivious and completely blind to facts. Your world is feelings, not facts. They don't want facts. They want feelings and uniformity, narrative, and control. That's all they want. So if you think about posting something today on Facebook about the China virus, you might want to think twice if you are socially engineered to do so. If courage has left your body, and if you're afraid, and some people just have businesses on Facebook. Some people don't have websites. They have true businesses on Facebook, and they're afraid to post anything on their regular page, on their private page, in fear of losing their business page. When I was evicted from Facebook the first time, not the second time when I left, but the first time when I was evicted from Facebook, they not only took my account and my Instagram account, but they also deleted my wife's Facebook account, and she has a business, and they deleted it. They deleted 2 years worth of work that she put into that business because they didn't want me to get on Facebook through her. And they deleted her Instagram too. This is how much scumbags it's truly incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen anything like it. So, in Woketopia land, which is Facebook, if you post anything about the China virus, beware, because you will soon join me in no longer being in Woketopia Scumville, which is Facebook. Yes, Robert, I did hear about Mike Lindell. I did, and good luck to him with his new social media venture. I have enough right now to deal with Freedom Fan and YouTube and Parler and Instagram and Rumble and I need to hire somebody just to do my social media. So anyway, better not post anything truthful about COVID or the vaccines. You can't even post about somebody dying. You cannot even post about somebody dying, even if it's news. Even if the person really died. Woketopia, ladies and gentlemen. All right, second Dumb Award of the day today. And I hate doing this because I have so many people I come from a military family. I honor the soldiers so much. But this is not about the soldiers. This is, again, about the top brass in the Pentagon. The U.S. Army is going to get the Dumb Award of the day today. Why? Because they are reversing their gender-neutral physical test after a majority of the women fail to keep up with the men. So what they're going to do is they're going to dumb it down even further so that the women can be Navy SEALs or the women can be Army Airborne Rangers. They're going to change it all again, ladies and gentlemen. So I would say that they get the Dum Dum Award of the day, and the reason why they get the Dum Dum Award of the day today, and I'm going to throw it in the Swamp Donkey bucket because they're definitely not acting like conservatives here, is because what happens in a life or death situation? I'm not saying women should not be in the military at all. I'm saying that tests, if we live in a world of reality here, tests should be given based on the physical ability of that person. If that person, man, woman, gender X, or whatever else there is out there, actually, if they actually pass the test, then great for them. But the test isn't there for men or women. The test is there because in a life or death situation, you have to be able to do something. You have to be able to physically do something. Now, I have a friend who's seen 3 tours. He can tell you stories that would make your blood boil. And he can tell you stories that would make you sick to your stomach as well about what he's seen. And the one thing that he always complained to me about, I don't want to say his name because I asked him if he'd come on actually and do a story here. Or do a phone call, but he hasn't answered back yet. He used to tell me about them doing this back under Obama, how they would dumb it down. Here's what he told me. He said, if you're in a situation where you need to get a 200-pound man out of a building and you have to throw that 200-pound man over your shoulder and go through a window, 9 times out of 10, the woman who had a dumbed down physical test, so in order for her to claim the same title, will not be able to do that. They will not be able to throw a 200-pound man fully geared up in all of his gear on their shoulder and carry him out, which means what? One or both die. Now, it's an extreme scenario, but it happens. And these Navy SEALs and Army Airborne Rangers and the people who are in there, they actually do train throwing big dummies. Not real people, not Andrew Cuomo dummies, but real dummies over their bodies that do weigh 200 pounds just so they can do this kind of activity because these certain situations actually exist. So guys, here we go again, dumbing it down so that everybody can be inclusive. You get your participation trophy even though it may cost you your life or even though it may cost somebody else their life. Look, I love women. I love men. I love all of God's children, but he made us different for a reason, and not all of us can do the same thing. My wife can do 10,000 times more things than I can do, and I can do about 2 or 3 things that she can't do. So who's really the winner here? You know what I mean? The military ought to make actual Andrew Cuomo dummies with his face on them and throw them over their shoulders. But if a woman tried to do that, the dummy might even actually sexually assault her. It might be like Toy Story. It might come alive and grab her butt or her bosoms while she's trying to get him to safety because that's just what he does. Oh. So, Dummy Award of the Day goes to the top brass at the U.S. military. John Townsend says, will you have Armor of God shirts for kids? For little kids? I mean, I guess you could go just a small and get it for, 8-year-old, 10-year-old. But for little kids, I'll have to check into that. Thank you very much for giving me that suggestion. Watch out with those Andrew Cuomo dummies. You might be bargaining for a little bit more than you wanted. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of the Biden residency and how they're asking people to dumb things down, the Biden residency has now asked the Supreme Court to drop the upcoming abortion case. Because they want you to continue to be able to kill babies. Now, I talked a little about this on the weekend. I posted a statue of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, okay? They now have a statue of Ruth Bader Ginsburg up at the Supreme Court. Okay, I get it, 100%. The woman broke down barriers, right? She broke that glass ceiling that Hillary Clinton could never break. What happened? Right? She just looks up and sees balloons and, ooh, balloons, while she's all drugged up. Trash bag Hillary, glad bag Hillary. But either way, Ruth Bader Ginsburg arguably did 10,000 times more than Hillary Clinton ever did for this country. Okay, I get it. I get why you have a statue of her up in the Supreme Court. I get it. But I posted this, and it's going to tie right into this story about asking them to get rid of the abortion case. I said this: if we are tearing down statues in this country based on bad behavior that society deems should not exist, because that's why they're tearing down statues, shouldn't we also remove the statue of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, seeing that she advocated for the death of babies all the way up until birth, for the death and the murder of helpless babies all the way up until birth? Shouldn't we remove that statue? Because again, if we're removing statues deemed to have, from people who portrayed bad behavior or poor judgment, well, wouldn't that fall right in line? Wouldn't the murder of babies fall in line right in with racism and bigotry and everything else they tear down statues for? I mean, shouldn't they? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't want to tear down any statues, period, because I think that people who put them up for a reason. But I just think that maybe we should have, there shouldn't be a double standard here. Anyway, moving back to the Biden residency, asking for the Supreme Court to drop the abortion case. You're going to find out right now how loyal this Supreme Court is to Woketopia. You're going to find out how loyal the Supreme Court is either to the Constitution and the people of the country, or you're going to find out how loyal they are to the Biden residency. Hold on one second, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Bader. See you later. Thanks for joining in on Live from America. I hope you learned something while you were here, but since you're not here anymore, bye-bye. Anyway, abortion is murder. And I would like to find out exactly where Gorsuch, where Kavanaugh, and where, what's her name, Amy Coney Barrett, I'd like to know where they stand on this issue, because before they all got confirmed, they all had a very strong stance against abortion. But now they're in a completely different world, ladies and gentlemen. Now they are at the control of the Biden residency and the woke left. So you're going to find out. You're going to find out, who are they loyal to? The Supreme Court loyal to the Constitution and the people, or is the Supreme Court loyal to the Biden residency? You'll find out. Linda says your screen on YouTube is upside down when sharing. Yes, it's just the thumbnail. I will fix that after this video. All right, moving on. I want to read a tweet to you. A treat. It is a treat, actually. But I would like to read a tweet to you from David Hogg. You know who David Hogg was, right? He was the kid who was apparently in the school during the school shooting and then went on every news station for the next 2 years talking about how you shouldn't have guns and how you shouldn't have guns. For the first year, I thought it was Liza Minnelli. I'm not going to lie. I thought David Hogg was the daughter of Liza Minnelli, to be honest with you. Or Liza Minnelli with major plastic surgery. Either way, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, David Hogg put out a tweet. And I posted this last week. And it said this: remind me, how many AR-15s did Jesus own? Okay, first of all, don't you just love the left, how they always bring Jesus into it? Like everybody on the right is a Christian, even though there's plenty of people on the right who are Muslim. There's plenty of people on the right who are Buddhist. There's plenty of people on the right who are Jewish. There's plenty of people on the right who have no religion whatsoever. There's plenty of people on the right who are agnostic or atheists. But this is the stupidity of David Hogg, okay? And he's gonna get a dum dum award today. David Hogg is such a dum dum that anytime he goes on air, he has no idea what he's talking about. Constantly gets facts wrong. But this is the dum dum award for bringing Jesus into an AR-15 conversation, okay? So, Dum Dum Award right there to David Hogg. But he said this: remind me, how many AR-15s did Jesus own? And then right under that, a person named Britton Wolf tweeted back to him and said, not enough to avoid being murdered by his government, apparently. That was smart. Oh, that was smart. Britton Wolf, you get the Smarty Award of the day today for that answer. Apparently not enough to avoid being murdered by his own government, which is the entire reason that you have the Second Amendment to begin with. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that so great? What a funny response. What a funny response. Moving on. If you remember when I went to Florida, when I went to CPAC, I had a conversation with an Uber driver. Okay? And that conversation with that Uber driver was very interesting because I didn't even bring up the president. I didn't bring up the president. I didn't bring up government. I didn't bring up anything. This Uber driver was a legal immigrant from Cuba who was here, started a business, bought a house, and had two lovely young daughters. Great story of success. I love to hear a success story of a legal immigrant who loves the United States of America. Okay? So, as I sat and had a conversation with this guy from the airport to the hotel, he started telling me about how bad Biden is. And of course, he had the Cuban accent. He's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "Biden is a bad guy, man. Biden is a bad guy. We don't like him." And he said, and he also told me if they had somebody like Trump in Cuba, he would have never had to leave to begin with. But the reason why he was telling me that Biden was a bad guy wasn't because of coronavirus, wasn't because of gas prices. No, 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 no. He said Biden was a bad guy because Biden likes to start wars, which ends up getting innocent people killed on both sides. Okay? That's why he said Biden was a bad guy. Well, now the Biden residency has troop deployments. Hundreds of Connecticut National Guards men and women have been deployed, once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Middle East. This guy from Cuba called it. We're not even 90 days into this, whatever this is, this nightmare, this dream that we're living that's not even legal. We all know it. We're not even 90 days in. This young man from Cuba called it weeks ago. He said Biden will get us into a war in no time. That's why Biden is a bad guy. I loved that conversation with that guy. I thought it was tremendous what he told me. I thought it was great how he overcame socialism, where he said that as a structural engineer, he was only making $50 a week as a structural engineer. And he said if Trump was our president, I would have never had to leave to begin with. And he loved Trump. Biden is a bad guy, man. Biden is a bad guy. And there we go. There's proof of it, ladies and gentlemen. More about Biden, because we just can't get this dummy out of the news. Him and Kamala Harris, dumb and dumber. Biden would be the dumber, and Kamala would be dumb. They are going on the Help Is Here tour. The help is here. The cavalry has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. The help is here. We talked about this last week on Friday, and I told you this is going to be a blessing in disguise because they're going to give us content upon content upon content. And I told you what this really is to hand the baton off to Kamala Harris herself. Nobody likes her. Nobody cares about her. The left didn't want her. The right didn't want her. The middle didn't want her. Kids didn't want her. Adults didn't want her. Men didn't want her. Women didn't want her. The young didn't want her. The old didn't want her. Nobody in this country wanted Kamala Harris. She polled at 2% through the entire primaries. She's worthless. She is literally worthless. And she is far left, far more left than Resident Corn Pop is himself. So this will be a passing of the baton from him to her. But they're going on the Help Is Here tour, okay? And I want to tell you where they're going to be first. So if you're in these states, you can go there and you can welcome them with Trump signs, Trump flags, horns, bullhorns, megaphones, and just good old-fashioned patriotism, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, tomorrow they're going to be in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Tomorrow. They will be in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. So, if you live in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and you want to get involved and show them exactly the job that they're doing, because apparently this is to go out and have public interaction with the people of America, even though the 80 million people that are out there don't really watch them, tune into them, care about them, go where they are, or anything. This will be a great indication, ladies and gentlemen, on how many people just didn't vote for these two. And it'll also be an opportunity for you to see your president and let him know the job that you think he's doing. So they will be in Delaware County, Pennsylvania tomorrow, and they will also be in Georgia on Friday. Where in Georgia? I don't know, but when I find out, I'll let you know. What time? I don't know because they're not releasing that. But when I find out, I'll let you know. So if you are in Georgia, the deep, deep south, the deep swamp, you got to be ready for them to come to your state. And if you live in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, you might want to be ready for Kalema Harris and Resident Corn Pop to make an appearance on the Help Is Here tour. Meanwhile, Governor DeSantis this weekend was out having beers in public with his people. This is a real election. When the people really elect somebody, they actually love that person. They actually want to see that person come to their cities, come to their towns. They want to interact with that person. They want to take pictures with that person. Over the weekend, we got to see Governor DeSantis from Florida drinking beers with the public, ladies and gentlemen, maskless. Everybody was maskless. He's drinking beers. He's taking selfies with the public. He's answering questions. He's talking to them. It's not a press conference. It's just Governor DeSantis out doing what the people want him to do. Govern and be a part of the people. You won't see that with the Help Is Here tour. You're not going to see that. You're never going to see that kind of stuff. You're never going to see a maskless Biden and Kalema Harris. You're never going to see anybody there who wants to take selfies with them. Remember during the election when I got fact checked because I posted a picture of Kalema Harris and her rally that she was having, and I said, "Oh look, there was 6 people at the Harris rally." I got fact checked by Lead Stories. You want to know why? Their reasoning for fact checking me was there was well over a dozen. So I don't know what's worse, admitting that there was only 12 or fact checking me that there wasn't 6. I don't know which one's worse. Talk about stupid, right? Dumb, dumb. I mean, just ridiculous. So anyway, awesome job, Governor DeSantis. Great guy, great governor. And the people of Florida, Floridians, should be very happy to have a governor that's so awesome. It's so awesome. Does he have problems? We all do. We all do things that other people don't like. But for the main part of it, Governor DeSantis is awesome. All right, guys, we got another Dum Dum Award to give away today. And you know what? There hasn't been any that went into the Rhino one today. So maybe we'll find some rhinos to give some Dum Dums to tonight. The last Dum Dum Award of the day today is going to go to Miss Meghan Markle herself. You know, Princess Harry's wife. That makes sense. Anyway, Meghan Markle is now considering a run for U.S. Congress. Yeah, she's already networking and fundraising with senior Democrats. I don't care if she's married into the royal family and if the royal family was racist to her or not. Princess Harry's wife, Meghan Markle, is a disaster. She would be another AOC. She has zero intelligence when it comes to the United States Constitution. She doesn't even know the national anthem for either country. She admittedly does not know the words to the national anthem for either country. She's a failed actress. She is a woke-topia, leftist, crybaby, spoiled brat. And she's going to run for U.S. Congress. And that's what really bothers me about running for office is it's really just a popularity contest. It really isn't based in any kind of skill whatsoever. So they will place her and they will put her in an area where she'll win and she'll be right there along AOC as another dum-dum in the U.S. Congress. Meghan Markle, you get a Dum Dum Award for everything I just said and the fact that you are going to be a disaster for this country in any way, shape, or form. Dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Now, here's something that I did not expect, and this will be some good news for you. Are you ready for this? This will kind of round out the show for the day. And I think you'll like this, okay? The Council of Europe met. The European Council of Parliamentary Assembly met late last week. And the reason why they met was to talk about the China virus and vaccines. I was blown away when I read this. Are you ready for this? This is Europe, ladies and gentlemen. This should be America, what I'm about to read you, but it's not. This is to show you how far left the United States has come. You ready for this? The Council of Europe says no compulsory vaccinations and no discrimination against the unvaccinated. The Council of Europe signed a resolution 2361, which states that vaccinations in the EU member states, the first, by the way, meeting of this was January 27th of 2020, which states that vaccinations in the EU member states should not be mandatory. Furthermore, persons who have not been vaccinated may not be discriminated against in any way. This effectively stops the notion of vaccine passports. And I'm just going to read some underlined things. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. The resolution has been ignored by mainstream politicians and the media. Happily, the Council of Europe is now putting a firm stop to these plans since involuntary medical experiments are prohibited by the Nuremberg Convention. Okay, hold on, I'll read you more. Point 7.3 of the resolution obliges all member states to ensure that citizens are informed that COVID vaccinations are not the only word written in the capital letters throughout the resolution, by the way, because it was written in capital letters, not mandatory, and that no one is politically, socially, or otherwise pressured to be vaccinated. Secondly, at least as important, member states ensure that no one is discriminated against for not being vaccinated because of possible health risks or because the person simply does not want to be vaccinated. According to the Nuremberg Convention, experimental vaccines can be seen as an experiment on the population. In the case of Moderna RNAs and Pfizer's mRNA jabs, they have never been previously tested. The convention consists of 10 points, and the first stipulates the voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely necessary. Let me reread that, okay? The voluntary consent of the human subject is absolutely necessary. But the question remains, is it really voluntary if you are not allowed to work, send the children to school, travel, or even visit the mall if you do not submit the experimental vaccine? The fifth point states no experiment should be performed where there is a reason to believe that death or disabling injury will occur. And it's already happening. We're seeing deaths and we're seeing injury occur. Deaths, serious vaccine injuries, have already been listed as a result of the vaccinations, including at the U.S. Public Health Agency, the CDC. Readers should download the information on their smartphone to have on hand whenever it becomes necessary to remind government officials of the Council of Europe's guidelines. And I'm going to read you this last part. It says Council of Europe Resolution 2361. Remember that. Council of European Resolution 2361 on vaccines. 7.3 with respect to ensuring high vaccine uptake. 7.3.1 ensure that citizens are informed that the vaccination is not capitalized, mandatory, and that no one is politically, socially, or otherwise pressured to themselves vaccinate if they do not wish to do so themselves. And 7.3.2 ensures that no one is discriminated against for not having been vaccinated due to possible health risks and not wanting to be vaccinated. Doesn't that sound, ladies and gentlemen? Shout out Sherry Prado. She says, give me a shout out, please. Shout out, Sherry. Doesn't that sound like America? Doesn't that sound like something that we as Americans would put out for the rest of the world to follow as the bright and shining leader of this world? But no, that comes from Europe. That comes from Europe. Even Carrie Kula says, where did the flu go? Apparently COVID even killed the flu. It wants to be the only sickness that you can get, apparently. Council of Resolution, European Resolution 2361. Doesn't sound like Europe. Sounds like America. But that's not the case anymore. That is how far left and how far removed this country is, and we let it get there. As much as I don't like to say that, I hate looking in a mirror and saying you're responsible. But I am responsible. I am responsible. Emily says, what's the difference between a rhino and a swamp donkey? A rhino is somebody who pretends to be something even though they're not. A swamp donkey is a full-out ee-haw loser. That's the difference. But really, they're one and the same. One just tries to deceive you, while the other one says, do something about it. Do something about it. That's the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Jeremy R. Herrell. R is my middle initial. It stands for Richard. Follow me on Freedom Fan and Telegram at Live from America. And follow me on Parler and Rumble at The Hip Hop Patriot. Make sure you read all the things that are scrolling at the bottom because there's a lot of good things in there. Sign up for the newsletter on jeremyherrell.com. Become a monthly donor if you can. And check out the online store. There's a bunch of great stuff in there. Big sizes are coming, by the way. You guys have been asking for 3X, 4X, and 5X. Those are coming. Continue to send your businesses in so that I can add them to small and medium sized American businesses. We'll get that up on the directory soon. And I just want to let you guys know how appreciative I am, how loving I am, how humbled I am that you guys give me 2 hours of your day to watch and listen to Live from America as we grow this network, because we will grow it. I promised you we'd get here, and I promise you we're going to grow into more hosts and more avenues for you to watch Live from America. Thank you guys so very much for watching today. I'm your host, Jeremy Herrell, the Hip Hop Patriot, and I'll see you tonight for more Live from America at 5 p.m. Okay? And remember, until we get there are right ways, there are wrong ways, but there's only one Yahweh. So stand up tall, keep your shoulders back, your chest out, and your head up high, because you are a child of God, and no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. And if you're watching this video later and not live, don't let that stop you from liking the video and sharing it so the algorithms kick in so more people can watch it. Thank you guys. God bless you, and we'll see you tonight at 5 p.m. for more Live from America. See ya.